Rediscover your past by digitizing your family's memories with Legacy Box. Watch until the end of this video to find out more about preserving your legacy, and then visit legacybox.com/recollection. The 1950s were a time of great economic prosperity in America that saw a significant increase in the standard of living for many Americans. This, combined with a strong sense of national pride and optimism about the future, created an atmosphere of positivity and hope that permeated many aspects of life in the 1950s. It was during this time that many families were able to achieve the American dream. Owning a home, a car, and providing for their families was just the beginning. For those who grew up in the 1950s, this is what life was like, and it was a great time to be alive. Families were able to thrive, and usually that was on just one income. Dad would go off to work while mom stayed home and raised the kids. Having a mom at home meant that children received nurturing, guidance, and love. This gave children a sense of security and stability that seems to be missing these days. This traditional family structure was reinforced by popular media, including TV shows, movies, and even advertisements of the day. Home-cooked meals were a staple of 1950s family life, especially for the mom who would shop, prepare, and serve the meal. Families would gather around the dinner table to enjoy this meal together and share stories about their day. The distractions of the day were quiet during dinner time, and this daily tradition brought comfort and opportunity for families to stay connected. Owning a car in the 1950s was a sign of success. Many families only had one car, which meant that everyone had to share it and coordinate their schedules accordingly. With just one car, families were forced to spend more time together and plan activities that could be done as a family. This meant going on road trips, exploring new places, and enjoying family time together. Kids used to spend hours playing with simple toys that were not expensive at all. Things like jacks, marbles, paper dolls, and yo-yos required imagination and creativity to play with, but kids still managed to somehow find ways to entertain themselves, most of which meant spending time outside. Some of the time outside might have been spent flying balsa wood airplanes. These lightweight airplane kits were fun to put together, and boys could spend hours crafting and painting them before taking them outside to fly with friends. Kids also spent lots of time playing outside with the other neighborhood kids, especially with games like Kick the Can and Red Rover. These games were a great way for kids to stay active, but they also learned important social skills like cooperation and sportsmanship. Comic books were also a popular form of entertainment for kids. They could escape their suburban life and read about the worlds of newly created superheroes like Superman and Batman, who represented justice in the fight against evil. Television was a relatively new medium in the 1950s, but it quickly became a popular way for families to spend time together. It was a new and exciting time where families would gather around the TV set to watch programs like The Lone Ranger and The Mickey Mouse Club. Other classic shows like The Honeymooners and The Ed Sullivan Show made for great evening entertainment, and the flickering lights of televisions could be seen through windows of many houses up and down neighborhood streets after the sun went down. Before television became widespread, families would also gather around the radio to listen to popular shows like The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet and Amos and Andy. Some of these beloved radio programs were even adapted into TV shows. The drive-in movie theater was a popular weekend destination for families in the 1950s. This was an affordable way to see the latest movies while enjoying some fresh air and the comfort of their own car. The 1950s saw the rise of the drive-in movie theater really explode. After parking the car in front of the giant screen, you could make your way over to the concession stand to pick up some popcorn and snacks. The drive-in theater was a great place to socialize too, as friends and families would often go together and make a night of it. Riding your bike to the local soda fountain for an ice cream float or a milkshake was a fun treat for kids. The soda fountain was a popular gathering place where you could not only enjoy a sweet treat, but you could also page through the newest comics and hang out with friends. These soda fountains were often located in a drugstore, and back then, many were found downtown along Main Street, which was a short walk or a bike ride away. During the 1950s, people that lived some distance away from each other kept in contact by the occasional phone call or handwritten letter. For a kid, this often meant becoming pen pals with someone, which was a popular way for kids to make friends with people from different parts of the world. They would exchange letters and learn about each other's cultures, customs, and interests. Vinyl records were the primary way to listen to music in the 1950s. Many families had a record player in their home, and children might spend hours listening to their favorite records. Music was a big part of the 1950s culture, and this was also the time when music was changing, with rock and roll becoming a much bigger influence on young people, and everyone had their favorites. Baseball was a hugely popular sport in the 1950s, and collecting baseball cards was a popular hobby among kids. They would collect cards of their favorite players and trade them with friends to complete their collections. You might also find some baseball cards clipped to bike frames, so when the wheels spun, they would make a cool motorcycle sound. One of the great things about being a kid during the 1950s was that things weren't very expensive, and a couple of coins would go a long way for a young person. The 5 and dime stores, especially, offered an assortment of candy that kids could buy for just a penny. This allowed them to fill up a paper bag with lots of candy, and for many, this may have been their first introduction to spending money and even budgeting. Family was of course an important part of the 1950s culture, and kids often spent a lot of time with their grandparents. This might have been following a trip to church, or even a weekly get-together that was never missed. Kids could listen to their stories, learn about their experiences, and gain a deeper understanding of their own family history. The 1950s saw the construction of the interstate highway system, which made it easier for families to travel long distances by car. Howard Johnson's and Holiday Inns were two popular hotel chains that provided affordable accommodations for travelers. Road trips were a great way for families to explore new places and create lasting memories together. Patriotism was a central theme in American life during this time. The American flag was hanging outside of many homes, and young boys were often involved in Boy Scouts, and they would participate in parades and flag-raising ceremonies, which instilled a sense of pride and love for their country. Overall, growing up in the 1950s provided a sense of community and optimism that many people still look back on with fondness. While times have certainly changed, the memories and experiences of this era remain a cherished part of American history. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and maybe even consider supporting the channel over on Patreon. Recollection Road has partnered with Legacy Box because we're both all about preserving the past. Why not do the same with your own family home movies and photos? Legacy Box is the simple, safe, they've thought of everything solution for converting your home movies and photos to thumb drive or the cloud. Just send in your Legacy Box filled with old VHS and camcorder tapes, film reels, and pictures, and get back digital copies that can be easily enjoyed, shared, and kept organized. It's that easy. Not only is Legacy Box trusted by over 1 million people, but it's professionally digitized right here in the USA. Get started preserving your past today. Go to legacybox.com/recollection to get an incredible 55% off. Buy today to take advantage of this exclusive offer and send in your memories when you're ready. Go to legacybox.com/recollection to save 55% while supplies last. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching this playlist, and then visit the channel to search the Recollection Road Library. As always, thank you so much for watching.